Okay, I'm going to keep my 6-foot distance so I don't asphyxiate myself. Hi, everybody. This topic is huge. The work that went into it, it's incredibly big. So what I thought I'd do tonight is there's many lenses we can look at this through. So I first wanted to ask the group what they're most interested in hearing about. You can vote more than once. Voting is just by hand. So if you're interested in how a community develops a strategic plan, any community. If you're interested in the process of defining goals. If you're interested more specifically in what the outcomes in Corry are that came out of this community strategic plan. All right, so I know I have my marching orders. Thank you very much for that poll. So first off, I do need to thank the Jefferson. I arrived here June 4th of 2019 in Corry, bought a little HUD home, been working on it since, well, not so little, but all of it. And actually the Jefferson and Great Erie Insurance were two of the first groups that reached out and wanted to help. And we literally wouldn't have been underway with this community strategic plan if it wasn't for the Jefferson saying, you've got things in line, let's get you funding. So thank you, Jefferson, because we'd be 6 months, probably 6 months still working on this plan if it hadn't been for that push. So when I arrived, I studied old plans. There are about 22 different plans from Corry 2020 to the old community strategic plans that really had a lot to offer, and some more than others had community input in them. Then also when I was being onboarded at Impact Corry, I started to reach out to groups, hear what they had to say, hear what their priorities were, get to know what they thought needed to change in Corry. And one thing that I observed is there were a lot of ideas, but a lot of, I'm going to use the cliche, a lot of silos. So we're working on this, and this is how we see our lens. This is what we see the world through, and this is what we do. Yes, they're our partner, but we don't have, most places don't have the manpower, the money to keep all this going. So we're actually based on the Aspen Institute has a great study called Rural Development Hubs. And a rural development hub is usually, I have no power over anyone. I can't tell the city to do anything. I can't tell any nonprofits to do anything. The only power we have is getting consensus and getting people to the table to agree on an outcome. So that's how a hub works. But a hub connects all the entities that are busy with their day-to-day stuff to try to bring every priority to the table. So we were based on that model. And what I heard was, well, these are our plans and these are our plans. The first role of community development is if you can leverage or layer efforts, you will go further faster. So if I'm working on one outcome only and I have no partners, I'm going to go at a certain pace. If I have another organization or person helping me, they're going to bring other perspectives. It's going to help me go faster and better. So that was the model, was to literally make a plan where as many organizations and people in the community and the region had input so we could agree on what our focus areas were. Because I had, and rightly so, some people are like, trails are the only thing Corry needs. That is the most important thing Corry needs. Well, other people are saying jobs are the most important thing Corry needs, right? But unless you can get those people to work together, it's not going to happen. You're going to stay divided. And that's what I saw was not intentional division, but a great deal of division and a great deal of lone wolf in it. So what we did is
We raised funds. No public dollars were used for this. Erie Insurance came to the table financially, as well as Arlene H. Smith and Corry Community Foundation and Corry RDA and ECRA all stepped up to fund this plan. We had originally estimated like an 8-month window. We signed the contract, I think it was March 8th of 2020. You know, what was hitting our heads at that point. So the process did go 12 months because then we had to rethink, how do we really have community investment in a time where we can't really meet together? So it threw a little curve on it. So what we did, we got a lot of advice. We felt that Corry was a community who wanted, Corry likes it straight. Tell me the facts as you see them, and I'll tell you the facts as I see them. So we knew we needed a planner who didn't dodge tough issues and who would say what they saw. We also felt like some of our actions were based on previous, like prior year perception. Maybe it isn't how Corry is today, maybe it's how Corry was. So we also wanted to start the planning process with data. Where is Corry today? We didn't want to guess and then make a plan based on something that was wrong. And also, I just kind of, after looking at the planners and getting input from people who'd worked with different planners, we selected CZB, which is Charles Buki and his staff. Charles, I will alter it a little bit. He's famous for when a community finally said, well, how are we gonna fix this? He said, well, stop doing stupid shit. Okay, in a public meeting. So he's a very direct kind of guy, and I figured he would really work well here, and we would give it back to him as much as we got. We did contract with his group. We went into 2 months of intensive planning. First, we downloaded the last 10 years of every real estate transaction in Erie County. It's huge, it barely fit on my computer. Then you have to analyze that and break it down to contrast the progress of the real estate market in Corry versus other areas of Erie County. He went back through all those studies that I'd already read to glean. And at that point, Blue Zones was also working on their active transportation plan. So that got folded in. All that information came together to create what he calls hunches about where we are and about what we need to address. At that point as well, we were going through the process of developing a steering committee. Steering committee members were people from Corry, and we tried to, through their volunteer work and professional work, we tried to capture as many local organizations into the conversation as possible. We ended up with 23 steering committee members who were committed to coming to meetings and reading and giving it their all, who represented over 52 local organizations. So they were bringing that to the table. We also said, okay, a plan doesn't matter if it can't be implemented. The city is going to be a big part of the implementation. So we developed a technical committee. That was all the heads of the departments, the people who do the on the ground work. So when we started coming up with ideas, they could give us feedback about what they felt was realistic, what had been tried before, whether they were on board, how we were going. And then the last group was a group of regional advocates, everyone from funders to political figures who have a stake in Corry and wanted to help Corry. So their role comes in further down the line. We start developing what we want to do. We start developing the plan, and they give us feedback about how that fits in regionally, how it fits in the state, potential funding strategies. Some of them even became advocates with funders for the projects we did. So we got those groups in place. We got the research done. We had our first steering committee meeting, and we presented the hunches. And we talked about, we asked the group to say what needs to be fixed in Corry. What should we address? The list was long. Some, the data disproved. Like, this was our perception of what was failing. Well, actually, you've had an uptick in your real estate market in the last year. You're not bottoming out. So does that make it stay a high priority, or does it make it go a little lower, right? So the group kind of made their best case for the priorities they felt were important. We also, this is just the executive summary of the plan. If you want to see the whole plan, it's like 72 pages. I'm happy to give it to you. It is my Bible, but I figured for tonight, we'd go with this. If you go to page 2, at that point, we were also developing our values. So whatever decisions we came up with, we're going to be driven by our values and our planning principles. So number 1, the steering committee decided we were going to be fiscally prudent. We weren't going to go out on a limb that was going to crack. We would be community minded. We would involve everyone. We wouldn't plan something with just a small percentage of the community. And we will exhibit pride in Corry. That actually ended up being a centerpiece of it. Was we're supposed to be the largest advocates for Corry, yet sometimes we badmouth our own place. And it is truly, Corry is wonderful. I love it here. I feel like people accept you and they're real, and there's a lot of opportunity here. So we're always going to exhibit pride in being from Corry. And we're going to say that verbally, and we're going to change our patterns of saying negative things about our community. So those were our values. Then our planning principles were investing in our strengths. So we weren't, I'll give you a wild idea. So say a steering committee member came and said, we're so close to Chautauqua, we should be like Chautauqua. That's a great aspiration, but do we have a strength in that area? Do we have a foundation built for that? No. We don't have a beautiful campus that's controlled. We don't have the history of everything is about education. It's not a retreat community. We were based on manufacturing. We got to celebrate our rust. We got to celebrate the fact we're here and we're pushing for what we want. So if we are basing it on our strengths, some ideas like that are going to get pushed to the side. So we stay authentic to who we are, and we do what's possible, and we can get further by not changing our whole character to get there. We also decided to capitalize on resources in a collaborative manner to move together. Charles Eurydice gave the analogy of, what if you had a boat and 2 people were rowing in one direction and 2 people were rowing in another? You're gonna go nowhere. So we all needed to get rowing in the same direction. We had to commit that the results of this plan were the way we were going. So it's kind of one of those speak now or forever hold your peace moments. If you don't say it, it's not going to be in there. And if you're responsible for moving it forward, you better make certain everything's in there that you want. We would be respectful and inclusive of our surrounding communities and approach land use sustainably. So this is the Corry Community Strategic Plan. It doesn't mean we don't care about Elgin. Doesn't mean we don't care about Columbus. Our entity is centered in the city of Corry, but water rises all boats. We are not going to succeed if we work on the city of Corry in isolation. So we need to be respectful and include our neighbors. And we need to approach land use sustainably. There's 6 square miles in Corry. There's only so much area for manufacturing. There's only so much area for retail. We are going to respect that, and we're going to try to invest in being sustainable about our land use and smart about our land use. And we are going to incorporate traditional town planning principles for decisions on design and form. So what that means is, yes, we are a third-class city, but when you come to Corry, it feels like a town. We are a small city, so town planning principles are things like a small central retail core, neighborhoods that have specific identities. So we were going to, in our planning, keep all of those principles in mind. We weren't going to go out on a limb and pick something that denied these principles. So now let's go back to the first page. So a lot of meeting happens, a lot of community surveys, a lot of Zoom sessions, a lot of everything. And it kind of filtered down to 5 areas we were going to work. Now I'm going to give you an example of something. Someone brought up that drugs need to be fixed in Corry. Yes, drugs need to be fixed in most towns, period. However, when you dig down in that, Corry is a nonprofit working in community and economic development. We can't enforce law. We're not counselors. We are not the people who go out and seek out and try to collect needles. That's not the focus of our organization. So we said, okay, drug use is an issue. Will our project, will our plan focus the fire extinguisher on the top of the flames, or will it focus on the base where the fire started, where it has its fuel? Because if we smother that, we can also impact the flames. So I'll give you one example. One reason for drugs being in a community is blight. It actually has a depressive impact on the human psyche. It actually promotes a feeling of hopelessness. It creates pockets and areas where you can hang out and do drugs. It has a wearying effect on a community. So if by solving blight, could we actually address that thing that we're not experts at as well? Yes, we can. Also, the city of Corry, the city is responsible for specific services to its community. Impact Corry is not going to pave your roads, right? But do the roads need to be repaved? Some of them, yes. So how can we help fix that without treading on the city's feet? So all of those came into the thinking, and we ended up with 5 areas where we're focused on working. The first is revitalizing our housing and neighborhoods. Second, improving and linking our public spaces. Ramping up our connectivity. 4th, activating our city center. And finally, strengthening our city's balance sheet. So we're saying this is our roadmap for Impact Corry. We're partnering with a lot of other groups. Now, is the RDA going to continue to be about manufacturing and economic development? Absolutely. And we're going to try to help their work. But these are the 5 areas where Impact Corry is going to lead the charge. So if you go to page 3, we'll drill down a little bit on revitalizing our housing and neighborhoods. So this map you see here, this is actually, we did a survey of all 236 properties in the city of Corry. And this was actually done by a college intern. The planners trained her on kind of saying, this is a this number house, this is a this number. So say a number 1 house, an excellent level house. It looks well maintained, nothing's falling apart, the lawn is mowed. Maybe there's even some very nice landscaping. It looks well kept. All the way down to a number 5, which is a distressed, places where the porches are falling off and the roof is caving in, places where you're going to have to think about whether they can be saved or not. So this resulting map, you can see the 5s went to a red, the 1s went to a deep green. You can start to see the layout of where our properties are. So what we decided to do is all the studies show that if I have $100,000 and I spend it throughout the whole 6 miles of the city of Corry, it'll have an impact. It'll be little, I'll do a project and maybe my neighbor will see it and get inspired and do something. But if I focus that money in a smaller area, you're going to have a more robust match, a more robust everyone else, almost like a contagion. When you do work in your neighborhood and several homes right in your neighborhood are doing work, it spreads faster. Also, we need to think about it. Where are we going to focus our money? We're going to start first with our gateways, because that's where most people see it who don't live here. So Main, Center 6, Washington. So you kind of go down by the number of cars that pass. So we also needed to focus in on those areas. Now this is North Center is a gateway. So you can see it in the middle. Main is a gateway and 6 is a gateway. So you can see the core of Corry where we're focusing our initial efforts for financially are in that range. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Renaissance Block. We've been awarded $190,000 from ECRA. That has translated into 42 homeowners within with 2 neighborhoods so far, renovating exterior projects in their homes with getting a matching grant up to $5,000. In this core area, we're going to continue to get that money. We're going to continue to offer that program to help homeowners improve their houses. We are also going to, next summer, we'll be rolling out a program called Paint the Town, and it's focused on veterans, the elderly, multi-generational households, and people living in poverty who their house needs to be painted, but they don't have the finances to do it. So what this project is doing, Sherwin-Williams stepped forward. They're coming in to teach us how to paint a house, and volunteers are literally going to get together with their neighbors and paint the homes. The homeowners will work with a designer in advance to design, like pick their colors, and a landscape designer, and we'll refresh the landscape. So projects like this, where you can supply a carrot rather than a stick, are going to go further faster. We're also developing ideas like a forgivable loan product. So say a new teacher for the school district wants to purchase in Corry and rehabilitate something. What if we supply them a forgivable loan product they want to purchase? If you live in Corry 10 years, it's forgiven and you never have to pay it back, right? Or if you want to rehabilitate a home in Corry, we are going to help you, or if you want to move to Corry, we're going to help you with what you need to get it done, and we'll do it through this program. Because we want people living in the city of Corry, because living in the city also helps our bottom line for our tax base. It helps everything move along, because the flight out of the city is what has made the city be very creative to get their jobs done, because they are undercapitalized for what they perform in Corry. We're also working with the city on code enforcement programs and raising our standards. I hope by next summer to roll out the named by Ben Spagan Corry Pride Certified program, where the neighbors in the neighborhood decide what Corry Pride Certified means. Does it mean your sidewalks are always shoveled in the winter, your lawn's always mowed? What does it mean to be Corry Pride Certified? And then people who are Corry Pride Certified will have a lovely little thing in their front yard. Their property is Corry Pride Certified. They can be multiple year members of it. It's kind of a show of distinction, and it kind of shows pride in the work we're doing. So those are the areas we're working on. We're also working on something right now. It's called the Corry Promise, which is, okay, we have a lot of kids who have left Corry, might want to come back. We have a lot of school students in the surrounding universities and colleges, graduated from there, who like this area. So what if we made a promise to you that if you settle in Corry, we're going to augment your needs to 25, 50,000, whether it is finding you property for your business, finding you a home, renovating an existing home. What do you need to make Corry your home? We're going to promise to help you with that. So that's in the works. There's a whole bunch of different models we're looking at and trying to figure it all out. Also, we've been working extensively with the city and the land bank and Corry Neighborhood Initiative. The land bank is basically when properties sit on tax rolls, for non-payment. The land bank can come in, take the property, rehabilitate it, get it back to productive use. They most often come in when the property is vacant, no one's living there. CNI has worked over multiple years to actually work with properties where people are living, to try, in some cases, some people need to be in better housing. They are not in good conditions, and we need to help them get to where they're safe. But then we need to transition that housing either up or out of the way. So CNI has been doing that work. Brad Russell has been a champion. He worked with the city to develop the blight plan that we're functioning under. And currently he has developed a LERTA program. LERTA is a tax abatement program, and it's usually for businesses. This would be a residential LERTA. So if you purchase in Corry or you build an addition on your house, you're going to have multiple years where there's no additional tax payment to you. And then it would phase out over time. So we're looking for reasons for people to build here, people to live here, people to renovate here. Number two, improve and link our green spaces. We have some beautiful places. We have a bunch of pocket parks. We've got Mead Park, City Park, North Hills Golf Course, Corry Country Club. The active transportation plan shows this as well, though. People don't feel they can safely get from one to another. Sometimes it's a no sidewalk, or the sidewalk's totally messed up, or I've got to walk along Route 6 to get to this. One of the top 5 identified things that people think about when they're currently fleeing cities and moving to more rural communities is the recreation assets. So we already have a trail building on our strengths that goes to Clymer and stops right at city limits. That's the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail. There's money behind it. There's marketing for it. If we extend it through the city and get it moved on to Spartansburg, we're going to bring a lot of economic development locally, because trails attract visitorship. And every mile you add, more people come. So this map shows you, we've connected every green space. We've also made safe routes on street for bikes. We've made safe trail routes for multimodal. And all of these are part of our plan. So it's about, I think it's about 6.1 miles of new trails being built within city limits, and then 8 miles of trails that we will build to connect to Spartansburg. We also on this are improving our parks. We're assisting Mead Park with they have a master plan for their park improvement. We're trying to help in any way possible with their fundraising and planning. That goes over another, but we're helping other areas as well. LECOM about 2 weeks ago asked us to come up. They want to add some trails behind their senior living space. So I now have all these champions who specialize in trails only. They actually just they were asked to present at the PA Trail Summit about their work. LECOM asked them to come up and give them advice about trails. There's actually 2 trails going to be up at LECOM that we can put in before the snow floods. There's another one that's going to take more planning, but with that asset here, all of a sudden we were able to help a neighbor. And by the way, that trail is now going to connect to the Corry Country Club, which is even going to give us more. Because every loop that we have in our city, when people come to the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail, they like to get off of it and see the community. So these other loops, there will be a loop around the North Hills Golf Course. Wouldn't it be great to leave the trail and go check that out? So these are the reasons we're building this out. Currently, by the end of this December, we will have built 1,400 linear feet of trail this year. We also have funding in the works, and we should find out about it about the end of the year, to build, I think it's 2,400 more feet next spring. So things are moving along. We also have volunteer groups, one's called Hiram and Hill, and they can also work on trails. So we have trail outings where we go clean up and get things ready for the trail work to come. One of the things we're very excited about is we also, so the trail that you're going to see this year, does everyone know where Subway is and the auto parts? The trail is at that old riverbed, that old railroad bed. It's going to go 800 feet down that railroad bed, and then it's going to come over through that big vacant lot and attach to Mead Park. So it's going to create a safe way to get to Mead Park without cutting through people's backyards. There's going to be a pollinator meadow, benches. The area will still be able to be used by Mead Park and the VFW for their overflow parking. We're trying to work together to use the space wisely. Oh, and part of that too is what's called the Emerald Necklace. So you see the Corry core superimposed here. All of the streets that you see with the dotted lines, those are actually going to be complete streets. All the sidewalks will be fixed up, trees will be planted, art will be put out. So that emerald necklace is going to show off. If you're walking around the core of Corry, you're going to say, hey, it's beautiful here. Why don't I buy a house? Ramp up our connectivity. This one has taken off. It's a little bit is alignment with our national agenda, and a little bit is, I firmly believe that this is the most revolutionary thing that Corry is going to do since the railroad lines were put in 1860s. This is going to change our trajectory. So the first thing was to get Wi-Fi downtown. Well, guess what? It's on the top of this building, fully funded, done, free Wi-Fi downtown. NAP tax credits to pay for the first 2 years of Wi-Fi. We already got that done. Brody's on that team too. Next, we said the city of Corry is going to have universal fiber connectivity. So anyone in the city of Corry can be connected to fiber. I know a lot of people have what they feel is adequate or good service. Fiber's better, and fiber is going to empower a transition to the future. So if someone's looking to have a house in Corry to relocate here and there isn't fast internet, guess what one of the other 5 things that make people decide where to live? It is any more seen as essential. So this fiber network will supply gig fiber to the home. It actually can be up to 10 gigs on demand. And here's the really cool part that I'm so proud of our connectivity team. We selected to work with a nonprofit. Blue Fiber out of used to be Youngsville Television has gotten into the fiber business. They are a 501c12, so they're a cooperative. So it's not like a regular provider that has shareholders and they have to return a 32%, net profit every year. This is a group whose mission is to bring fiber connectivity and at an affordable price to rural communities. And once they make 15% over costs, they have to return that money to the community. Anything they make over that comes back to us to reinvest in our economic development. But because they have that model, we can get fiber to the home at the starting cost of $25 a month with a telephone line. That is a game changer for so many residents. We can get fiber to the business at a starting rate of $65 per month. And these don't go up much higher. Right now, like businesses downtown tell me they're paying over $300 a month. And when they run a credit card, they worry about the spinning wheel of death kicking them out. So this is going to change the landscape. It makes remote work possible. As we saw with COVID, the more accessories, the more things you have working in a home, draining that broadband, the faster you're booted out, the more your system fails. Even at the $25 rate, fiber is symmetrical, so it's 25 megabits per second down, 25 megabits up. You are going to support your whole family's devices on that lowest tier. If you want to be a gig home and pay $80 a month, you can pay $80 a month, but you can get by with your family on 25. The company is also committed and has pledged to the school district that the school district would have to identify the families, but if families in need who cannot afford the $25 per month, there will be free subscriptions for those families so those students can do their schoolwork. Very pleased with this selection by our committee to follow this path. We also were lucky enough to get $500,000, well, just under $499,940 in CARES Act funding. It had to be spent by the end of December, and we found out about that money in October. And I went to bed that night cursing my fate because how can it had to be spent and product had to be delivered by end of December. I couldn't put in a fiber network. Woke up in the middle of the night and said, but I could buy the fiber. So we used that money, we purchased the fiber, it's sitting in storage and waiting to be installed. Currently, the project to connect the city of Corry is about 2.2 million. I'm about 300,000 away, and hopefully a phone call for that, from having a match that will bring down the rest of the funding. So if we have this wrapped up by December and fully funded by December, we could be stringing fiber by March. It would be up within a year, and then the city would be covered. So then the group said, okay, well, it's great that the city of Corry is going to have this. We're going to provide connectivity to our school district. Well, what's that going to look like? How are we going to achieve it? Is it going to be beamed? Is it going to be? And then we felt, if we're saying the city of Corry deserves fiber, our school district deserves fiber. That was about a $14 million decision difference. So for that group to say, we're not going to redline anyone. We're going to say being rural should not disqualify you from service. So we took it on. Currently, we've been working, it actually expanded. There's a National Telecommunications and Information Agency, my alphabet soup, has a grant out there to help fund broadband expansion. We started working with the Corry Area School District, but this is a federal grant. We're not going to compete if we're just doing Corry. So we actually started meeting with rural areas throughout Erie County. Union City was the first group to come on board. We currently have a funding request for $5,755,000 to fund the entirety of the Union City Area School District, so Erie County, Crawford County, and Corry Area School District, Erie County and Crawford County. Warren County section of Corry Area School District, we're also working with them. They were putting in their own application to the same grant. They're making a municipal broadband. They're actually working with the same provider we are, so there won't be any service issues. They said, listen, we want to envelop our whole county in our municipal broadband, so don't put that section of Corry Area School District in yours. We have made that application. Last week, we found out we have been recommended for funding. It goes through a 30-day process where providers can protest. Hopefully nothing, there's wood. And Warren County actually got recommended for funding. So by November 15th, we should know if we receive it. That has to be completed within a year. And that will take a fiber network to every unserved and underserved census block in those two school districts, in those two counties. So keep your fingers crossed we get good news. And again, that should start being strung by March if we receive this funding. And then the last phase, or that's actually not in here, is we were told we're going to bring a fiber node to Corry. And they said, okay, this is an opportunity for development because people want to locate their businesses at fiber nodes. It's a really fast connection connected to a tier 1 carrier. So say I'm a day trader. If I had an office in that building, I wouldn't miss out on those milliseconds of money transfer. So it's also an important place where business goes because you can build data centers there. Data centers are just big, cool buildings with connectivity where people can store their content. So racks and racks of content. So I like to use this example. You download a Netflix movie. If that streaming content resides in a data center in California, getting it to you is highly expensive. So groups like that have redundant places where they store their streaming media. And they pay rental for that space. This being a fiber connected network, they could house it here. This is an area, the rural areas are underserved with these. So we have a couple years advantage over most places in the region in doing this kind of work. Actually, probably more than 2. So the technology center, so we started looking around downtown, and then they basically, everyone here seen Jaws? Okay, so we were looking at the Tamarack and the Hi-Ed, and we can build this out. And so we showed them the space, and they basically said, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Having a node like this, it is not accurate to have less than 60,000 square feet of space to build out. Where are we going to do that? Actually, Jason Biondi had the idea of contacting the Pike family who own the old Corry Memorial Hospital. Greg and Sally have been behind this project. They're actually donating that facility to this project. So it's, by the time it's done, it's probably, again, going to be about $20 million. Currently, we have about 7 million in requests out. That doesn't mean they'll all come true, but we got our first 185 last night. What that will do, it will, number one, seal the envelope, fix up any deficiencies in that building, tear out the asbestos, replace the boiler systems. They're really old and inefficient, and then build it out within the space to house everything from the data center I talked about, to co-working space for technology companies, to classrooms for Hi-Ed and the universities and schools around the area, to workforce development, remote work agency. And now we're partnering with Ben Franklin Technology Partners the Fire Accelerator in Erie, community access media. So we'll be bringing a media center here where you can have a studio for video, for music, you can record, you can distribute. So right now it's an empty building and a lot of plans, but little by little, we're gonna fill up that space and make it a reason to live in Corry, a reason to work in Corry. We'll be developing curriculum. First, after meeting with the schools, we understand that's a longer process. So we're starting with the little ones, and there's actually going to be a daycare center up there, and the YMCA is going to expand their overfilled daycare. And they're looking at systems, one called Unruly Splats, where you physically move and learn how to program computers. So we're going to do a technology-focused daycare up there. So a lot of good stuff is going to happen based around technology. It's going to provide a lot of opportunity locally. Activate our city center. Again, you see the core of Corry on this page. You see Route 6 at the top, and you see the pink circle. A lot of people drive by there and think they've seen Corry. So we need to develop that area so people know, hey, Corry's this way. Some concepts that are coming to mind are a pedestrian bridge over Route 6 that connects the trail over Route 6, which then would also become an art installation. Everything from plantings to art, but to basically show people that turn this way for something special. Then down North Center, you see the dotted line. We're going to invest in making those properties look the best they can. They're going to be the most seen properties in Corry after Route 6. So things like Renaissance Block, Paint the Town, we're going to make that look awesome. Then you get to downtown and you see the pink area. So it starts at City Park and goes to about City Hall and then comes out on Main Street a little. We're going to be focusing our monies there. If you've been downtown at all in the past month, you've seen all the the facade improvements. ECRA gave us a Mission Main Street grant of $202,000. A great deal of that has been spent on the facade improvements, and those are matching funds. So those building owners are actually matching every cent we give them, and in most cases more, to make those improvements. We're also doing a full property assessment. So every space that's available downtown, it's almost going to be like a baseball card. So if you're looking to make a business in Corry or locate in Corry, every commercial property downtown will have its specs. What's its size? What's its special features? What's its parking? How much does it cost? How much is anticipated to fix it up for use? So people can find the property they're looking for. Also in collaboration with the Chamber and the Downtown Business Association and First Fridays, we're ramping up the visibility downtown. We've committed to this pink zone. We've committed to 100% occupancy in the next 10 years. So those second and third floors that have nothing in them, something's going to be in it. Also the blue section, that rail yard downtown, it's going to be developed. I wish I had Wendy's drawing here. It's going to be developed into a beautiful rail and trail park. It is also going to be the trailhead for the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail. It's going to have a concert venue, gazebos, water. I think there's going to actually be somewhat of a splash pad. Oh, it's there. Oh, that's the next one. Oh, if you flip to, what page is that, Brody? In the middle. Oh, I didn't page number.
Under the same.
So yeah, you can see this is a computer rendering that our planner did with us as a start. Then we started working with the railroad lines, PennDOT, the city, local organizations, the entrepreneurs downtown, And this is the east end of the park, how it's being developed so far. We just received all the funding we need to do a subsurface utility engineering pass. So that whole park is going to get scanned so we know what's underneath the ground. Once we know that, we have a good start on funding to pay an engineer to start designing how to put this in, where the water connects, where the power goes. So we could start fundraising as soon for the installation of the park as soon as that's done. I gotta watch my time because I get excited and I don't stop. And last but not least, strengthen our city's balance sheet. This, I think, is a milestone in our plan because this is the city saying to us, you're welcome, please come, please assist us. We are community responsive. We want you as part of the solution. So the city has been very creative for at least a decade, if not more. As property taxes and everything keep coming down and down, and they're not funded enough to do the services they provide, some of the fallout of that has been deferred maintenance. Some of the streets people complain about, there's not money to fix it. Some of the buildings on down the line. So one of the first things we're doing, this is embarrassing, but over 20 years development professional. So I like to raise money. I'm helping the city identify potential funding opportunities and writing grants to help with those deferred maintenance items. One example, there's a $4.9 million request that would resurface 6 miles of public road in Corry. There's another one for $400,000 that would pay for a new generator for the wastewater treatment center because the existing ones keep failing and creating spills, which are a bigger problem. So if we can clear the debts so they don't have that accumulated cost to catch up with, that's going to help the city. Another thing is they have a lot of assets that most cities don't have that they haven't always been drains, but they could be. They take resources. Both North Hills Golf Course and the Corry Lawrence Airport. So those properties could be producing more revenue, could be maintaining themselves even to a higher level. There's a lot of deferred maintenance at the golf course without changing the essence of what they are. No golfers are going to get kicked off the course. It's still going to be beautiful. It's still going to be like the prettiest muni course around. But we're talking about things like the old barn. Could that be turned into a year-round event destination? We are making the trail around the course. Are there golf simulators for year-round play in our future? And we received funds to get involved in innovation through collaboration with Penn State Barron's Black School of Business. And they're currently working with this team of champions to develop a business plan for the North Hills Golf Course that will return more investment, make the interaction with the city and the processes simpler, and make it stop being a load and make it be a boy. I am going to say the North Hills Golf Course, I didn't see any years in the red. I'm not saying I'm just saying it's a lot of work to maintain it. The Corry Lawrence Airport, again, right now the authority over that is changing. However, we've raised half, it's going to be $50,000 to pay a planner to come in to develop a business plan for that airport. We've raised half of that. We hope to have the other half by the time the authority is worked out. And at that point, we'll develop a business plan. We've also been recruiting people who are in the aviation field, education field, all the way up to the state level transportation folks to come to the table to problem solve. Because everyone says you can't make a regional airport like ours make money. We're going to try to. And like, I'll give you one concept is a school where literally there's a track in high school where if you graduate high school going through this program, you would graduate to, I think it's a $48,000 a year job as an airplane mechanic, which is a skill that's in demand and is predicted to be in demand for the next decade. If you would go through the program and then go on to a collaborating school to learn to be a pilot, which is 2 more years, you would then come out at like around $60,000 a year. So literally we would start our kids in school and they could get on track for either of these. The airport would actually be their training ground. And we'd be working with our local universities and colleges to get it done. So that's just one idea. There's going to be a lot that comes to the table and we're going to have to pick what we're doing. Last is to support the city basically in any way they ask. So if there is, as they're looking at their budgeting, if there's holes we can fill, if there's support we can give, if there's motivation we can give to saying, hey, why don't you pass that over there? Because that's not really the city's problem. We're going to be there at the table to do it. So the other big thing about this plan is, and I think this is one of the largest factors of success in the area that we're having, is it has champions. Anyone who's listening, anyone who's here, consider becoming a champion. If you care anything about any of these 5 areas, your opinion matters, your effort matters, because each of these 5 components have champions, and you'll see, well, in the longer plan, there's pictures of the ones who joined it first. But these keep growing, people keep coming on board. We'd love to have you, because that's why it's moving forward. We would not be developing the downtown park and going for streetscape money and blah, blah, without all these people working. That park alone, the designing of it, a local master gardener, the tree committee, the Corry Area Gardening Club, the Corry Downtown Business Association, the North Hills Golf Course Superintendent, they all showed up to plan that. So they're all champions. They might come for one project like that. They might come back for another. Some will stay throughout. But that is the reason this is succeeding, because right now Impact Corry is an office of 1. So there will be no way to manage this without all these people contributing. And I am at my time. If this second sheet, I told you it was a lot. The second sheet gives you even more detail about where we are right now. So it gives you, so if we go to improve and link our green spaces, it tells you where we are in the process of funding, what trails are going to be done. It gives you a more in-depth look at everything we're moving forward. So at this point, I'll ask for any questions you have that I didn't answer.
No questions, but I just wanted to comment. We took advantage in our home of the Renaissance grant. I want to thank you. It's just wonderful too. I've had so many people come by and say how good everything was, and it was a 50-50 grant, and it worked out very well for us. We had some work done that needed to be done, and then some that made it look really good. Secondly, I want to thank you, and Union City sends the same thing for you applying for the broadband services for the school districts. We're very excited about that, and so is Union City, and I just talked to them today. And the third thing, the LERTA program, I think that we are going to talk about business as well as residential through the LERTA program.
Oh, good, because I thought the commercial LERTA was still in operation from the 70s. Are they updating it?
Well, it is, but we're talking about it.
Oh,
So,
good.
okay, so.
Because a lot of
and-
people don't know it exists, I think.
Right, and there is a meeting on October 20th.
October 20th.
That's next Wednesday night, I believe,
Okay,
at the high school in the cafeteria. The city council and school board are getting together. And for any questions in the presentation by Brad Russell again. So that is October 20th, next Wednesday,
what time is that?
at 6 o'clock. And there will be no food there, so eat before you come.
And also, we just got, this is technology news that Brody knows, but most of the folks don't. Erie County and Penn State and everybody were kind of spearheading an application to the Economic Development Agency, it's a federal agency, to develop a regional ecosystem of business. And we were invited into the project for our connectivity project and for our tech center. And this would expand it, because our goal was always to keep including more rural communities. So Warren County now comes to it because we're a partner, even though they're funding their own. We'll keep working across the southern tier of Erie County and going up into New York State. So literally then think of that footprint of that many rural residents, all supported by fiber and all connected to that technology center. The goal of this grant would be studying the best training for workforce development for jobs that we could do to support our regional economy. And then that job training would be focused here in Corry at the Technology Center. So it's exciting because that's kind of been the goal, is to help every rural community and we lift each other up. So fingers crossed.
So thank you very much.
Oh,
for
thank
all
you.
that you've done.
Doris is actually a steering committee member. She's not saying it. She actually, the dedication, we're meeting, she literally had to park outside a library in her car in the dark to attend a meeting so she could get connectivity. Those people stepped up. Any other? Okay. Anybody who wants to stay and watch, we'll roll this. We were asked last week, we presented at Erie County Homecoming to share what Corry is doing and where we are. It helps raise our visibility, helps get us more partners, help get more funding. This was created for that. And it's cool, but any other questions, and then we'll roll it. And if you need to go, you need to go. That's all good, but thought I'd share.
Off the pencils, we can do the evaluation corner.
Oh, sure. All right. While you're doing that, we'll roll that beautiful bean so that it's located in southeast Erie County, Corry, Pennsylvania is redefining the future of small city living. Built on ingenuity and creativity, Corry is authentic and unique. It is a city with both heart and soul. The people who live in Corry support one another, and when there is a challenge, they come together, roll up their sleeves, and get the job done. It has been that way since 1861, when Corry appeared overnight as if by magic, where two railroad lines crossed, then soon multiplied. The railroad junction's ticket office and eating house bustled amid lumberyards, oil refineries, manufacturing plants, tanneries, and more. Corry was home to Climax geared steam locomotives, new bone corsets, stump pulling machines, tiles, typewriters, lawnmowers, baby bouncers, and many more patented products that became national and global staples. Corry became a hub of invention and culture, with downtown Corry at its heart. The city boasted hotels, exhibitions, theaters, Victorian architecture, galleries, and even an opera house. It couldn't have been easy in those early days to pitch a tent and build among wetlands, saw down massive trees by hand, create bricks for building and paving, dig basements, and lay railroad track across hills, streams, and ravines. But in Corry, easy has never been the goal. People were and are drawn to Corry to write their own stories in a place of opportunity, to live where city meets country and hard work turns visions into ventures, a place where children and families can grow in safe neighborhoods and well-kept homes, a community that welcomes and rewards personal and professional initiative. Like hundreds of post-industrial Rust Belt communities, the US recessions of the late 1970s and early 1980s knocked Corry down. But Corry always gets back up. Corry is the comeback community you want to come back to, whether a third-generation local or a brand new arrival. The people of Corry have been working hard over the last decade to set the stage for this comeback. Their work, along with the support of advocates, is beginning to pay dividends. Over the past 2 years, public, private, and nonprofit sectors came together under the leadership of Impact Corry to craft and launch the Corry Community Strategic Plan. The plan, titled #PositivelyCorry, is a promise that if we work together, we will engineer a desirable and sustainable rural community that celebrates ingenuity, promises opportunity, and perpetuates the soul of Corry. Positively Corry was created under the transformative guidance of planner Charles Eurydice and the dedicated top-notch staff of CZB LLC. Positively Corry was made possible by the generous support of Erie Insurance, the Corry Community Foundation, the Arlene H. Smith Charitable Foundation, the Corry Redevelopment Authority, and the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority. Positively Corry was created with and by community members, local steering committee members, City of Corry technical committee members, and an advisory panel with members representing the region and the Commonwealth. Positively Corry identifies 5 interdependent focus areas essential in supporting Corry's ability to compete, grow, and attract. These 5 areas are ramping up our connectivity, activating our city center, linking and improving our green spaces, revitalizing our housing and neighborhoods, and strengthening our city's balance sheet. Today, we would like to share 4 of the first major initiatives from Positively Corry that will transform Corry into a small city destination for a visit or for a lifetime. Number 1, the creation of a gig fiber network throughout the city of Corry, connected to a gig fiber network throughout the Corry area and Union City area school districts, and with all of these networks connected to the Corry Area Technology Center and Hub. Corry's regional gig network has the power to transform every home into a virtual office or classroom and every business into a global competitor, while still providing the bandwidth needed for online learning, workforce training, and entertainment. It will also provide a delivery system for Corry Higher Education Council and its numerous regional college and university partners to offer on-demand training for high-paying professions and technology-based careers. Fiber connection, delivered through a public-private partnership with a nonprofit cooperative provider, will start at $25 per month for households and $65 per month for businesses. This cooperative model is unique for its commitment to both access and affordability. It is also unique for its commitment to reinvest annual community benefit dollars into expanding and improving connectivity, as well as to economic development projects. Corry's regional fiber network will be linked to a low latency fiber node located at the Corry Area Technology Center and Hub, or CATCH for short. The CATCH project will rehabilitate 88,000 square feet of vacant space in the former Corry Memorial Hospital, donated to the effort by the Greg Pike family. Catch will bring to Corry co-location and data storage space, a local cloud network, co-working space, remote work career training, a technology incubator, technology job training, community access media reporting and distribution studios, and a daycare offering technology curriculum for digital natives. It is true that Corry grew where 2 railroad lines crossed, but the rails of yesterday have become the fiber optic cables of today. Catch and the regional gig fiber network are the most transformational projects in Corry since the building of the railroads in the 1860s. Reliable and affordable high-speed connectivity is a key catalyst for prosperity. Reconnecting to the world at the modern speed of business is essential to draw residents and investors to Corry. Number 2, equitable and sustainable growth in workforce readiness and in family-sustaining jobs, both for virtual and on-site workers. Connectivity upgrades and entrepreneurial ecosystem enhancements will bring new jobs to the area. Many of these jobs will require specialty training. Positively, Corry stresses the need for education and training opportunities, especially focused on careers promising annual incomes of $50,000 and above. Workforce readiness is being championed by the Corry Higher Education Council along with its university and college partners. The Corry Hi-Ed is developing equitable and sustainable strategies to improve workforce training options, provide upskill training, advance digital literacy, and provide additional offerings that will turn internet access into opportunity for every person through every stage of life. By combining network access with on-demand personal and professional programming, the residents of our region will be better able to prepare for, win, and find success in good-paying technology, remote work, and entrepreneurial careers. Number 3, a bustling and activated downtown with a thriving entrepreneurial and artist ecosystem. Entrepreneurs and artists are intertwined in the Corry business ecosystem. Unique and remarkable shops are attracting regional buyers. More and more products are being created in Corry that can be found nowhere else. Positively, Corry will advance and support this ecosystem and encourage the introduction of technology-based businesses, both standalone businesses and those that will advance the expansion of bricks and mortar shops into the virtual marketplace. Branding and marketing is being developed for Corry, and a virtual docent and shopping mall is being planned. Other necessities like a small business loan fund, commercial space asset inventory, facade renovations, business growth and startup support, and an entrepreneurial academy are also being developed for all ages and all stages of business development. Positively, Corry is also committed to 100% occupancy in a downtown of thriving retail district shops and swank city apartments within the next 10 years. The Climax in Corset's Arts and Innovation Festival is challenging artists and innovators to imagine downtown amenities. From interactive garbage cans to public bench workstations, the artworks created through the festival competitions will help tell the Corry story, as well as express the ethic and aesthetics of the town. Artworks will delight, orient, and guide residents and visitors alike in the soon-to-be bicycle-friendly trail town of Corry, PA. All downtown amenities will be inspired by retro-futuristic technology and aesthetics of the 19th century industrial steam-powered machinery, a style commonly known as steampunk. Steampunk is a nod to Corry's 1860s rise to prominence. This steampunk style will be fused with cutting-edge technology to also communicate Corry's commitment to what is next and to being connected and relevant in the virtual economy. Historical downtown Corry will also be enlivened by the reclamation of a rail yard. The currently derelict looking rail yard will bloom into the Corry Rails plus Trails Park. The Rails plus Trails Park will be a place to play, move, be entertained, meet, and linger. The park will contain Corry's trailhead for the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail, through trail conveniences, gardens, water play areas, entertainment, food venues, and public art. Number 4, a 7.5-mile expansion of the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail and 4 miles of new trails connecting every Corry neighborhood to and from the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail, as well as to all Corry's natural and recreational assets and improved parks. Avid and casual outdoors people will find what they're looking for in Corry and Erie County. Lakes, rivers, reservoirs, swamps, mountains, trails, state parks, beaches. Purchase your tag and head out to the state game lands. Take the family for rock climbing fun. Pick and taste your way through the seasons of produce, from strawberries to apples along local produce trails. Bike, hike, snowshoe, snowmobile, or cross-country ski miles on the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail and industrial heartland trails. Fish for native trout in Corry's amazingly pure waters. Enjoy live concert. Golf or walk the breathtaking courses of North Hills and the Corry Country Club. Corry is a bucolic haven for remote workers, country souls, artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone wanting to live a more connected, less hectic, more green way of daily life, a short distance from pristine wilderness and large cities. Positively Corry is working to link all the recreational green assets of Corry with 7.5 miles of safe multimodal trails and complete street sidewalks. The new trails will lead to improved parks and connect every neighborhood to recreation. These first 4 major initiatives, as well as those still being developed, will support the existing and attract the new dreamers and doers to Erie County and to Corry, PA. We welcome you to Corry and to Erie County, where it is possible to build and be part of something special, to bring your business, to bring yourself, to bring your dreams, to help build the future of our city, our county, and our region. And if you're already lucky enough to live here, we invite you to bring your time, talent, and interests to become an Erie County and City of Corry champion. We are proud that our Positively Corry efforts align with and support the bold and positive momentum occurring throughout Erie County. We hope you will come visit soon, see where you fit, and become part of Erie County's rise.
Thanks, everybody. If you'd like a card and a way to contact me, I'll have them right up here.